One of the hardest things with the human body is to add strength, put on muscle, and stay lean at the same time. Certainly without drugs, anyway. I'm yet to coach anybody in my coaching career, though, who has come to me and said they want to be massive with loads of muscle, really strong, but fat. And I've not come across many people who say to me that they want to be shredded, but really skinny. So, as I've said to them, if your goal is to at some point be really strong, have a decent amount of muscle whilst having minimal body fat, then in this episode, I'm going to break down 7 fundamentals of what you need to do and how you need to think if your goal is to be strong, muscly, and be low in body fat. Now, there'll be some gurus who say you can't tick all of those boxes. I'm going to fight against that to some degree because, as I sort of broadcast this episode, I'm 40 years of age, and I'd like to think over the last couple of decades, I have been very, very strong for my body weight. I've had a decent amount of muscle for my frame and how I want to look visually. And I've always been lean. Okay. I'm going to break down a few tips around nutrition, some harsh truths when it comes to mindset, managing expectations. And the most important tip of all is going to be at the end of the episode. So please hear me out to the end, because the last tip is going to be it's the must do above all else if your goal is to build strength and muscle in particular. So one thing I want to say before I go into these 7, I think it's important if you're listening to this to get a clear perspective on where you actually are right now. Because a lot of people, from my experience, they're sort of in no man's land with their physique. And what I mean by that is they're neither really strong and muscly, and they're nowhere near as lean as they want to be. So if you are in this place, I really believe before you start trying to tick too many boxes, I really advocate that before you start trying to really optimize strength, muscle, performance, if your goal long term is to tick all of the boxes and be strong, muscly, lean, and fit, I really think it does everybody good to build that body from a leaner body composition. Because if you're carrying lots of body fat and then you're trying to tick a lot of boxes, you're not going to get anywhere fast, and it can be a very frustrating process. And I think it's even harder to really stay consistent emotionally and mentally if you're never actually feeling really good about your body. Simply put, I believe it's a lot easier to add strength or add a lot of strength and add more muscle without getting, or while staying lean, if you are actually pretty lean in the first place. I think you get way more malleability with food, and especially with carbs. And that's what I did many years ago. So let me just get to the 7. Number 1, these first 3 are around nutrition. Some of these are really obvious. I've covered them copious amounts of times on the podcast episodes. But if our goal is to build strength, have a really muscular physique, and stay in lean, there's no skirting away from the fact that you need to eat protein to do that. A general rule of thumb is to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It can be a little bit less, can be a little bit more. But generally speaking, if you have aspirations of ticking all of the boxes, then you need to eat a lot of protein. The amount of people who say they want to be strong, be ripped, be in shape, or basically look good and feel good about the way they look, who undereat protein is staggering. For me, that is the main macronutrient that you need to get consistent with. Because the reality is, whether your goal is to add strength, build muscle, or get even leaner, your protein should be pretty much the same, irrelevant. And as I've said on many other podcast episodes, if you can just get really, really consistent with hitting approximately 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, then it's just one macronutrient. You should never really have to think about taking up or down if you can just bulletproof consistency with that in the first place. It's the foundation for strength, it's the foundation for muscle, and it's certainly the foundation for preventing muscle breakdown when we're trying to get leaner. Okay? But you could be training like an absolute Trojan. If we're not eating enough protein, then the muscles aren't going to repair and, get bigger and stronger. Okay? Number 2, and again, I might sound like a broken record with 2 and 3, but I just want to hammer how important these fundamentals with food are when it comes to trying to have a phenomenal physique and stay as lean as possible whilst putting on size and just getting strong and feeling good getting stronger. And I think this is the most important when it comes to trying to not look soft and watery and bloated as we are trying to go into maybe a performance phase and get stronger or staying lean. And that is, make sure at least, and I mean at least, 90% of your food is real high quality food, basically non-processed. Quality of calorie for me optimizes condition, whether you're trying to get ripped or you're trying to maintain a really fantastic body condition and get bigger. The problem if we are eating lots of processed food, and as I'll come on to the third point, well, I might as well say it. The third point is avoid added sugar added sugar food and drinks. If you are trying to get stronger and bigger and you've got, I'd say more than 10, 15, 20%, certainly 15 to 20% upwards, where that proportion of your food is coming from processed food, sugary drinks, alcohol, your body's going to look very, very soft and squidgy very quickly. Because if your goal is to add size and strength, then you've got to be in some form of calorie surplus, right? As I'll come on to with my 4th point in a second. You cannot get significantly stronger and add muscle if we are not in a calorie surplus, especially if you're doing that from a leaner body composition to start with. So it's absolutely imperative that if our goal is to minimize body fat and optimize condition as we are creeping up in body weight, processed food and added sugar is going to naturally draw even more water into your muscles, and you're just going to look soft and retain water, which is going to have this negative impact on the way your body appears. So I cannot emphasize enough that my consistency with my real food, high quality food, I firmly believe has been one of the core drivers of why I have still had a 6-pack but got stronger pretty much every year the last 2 decades. If anything, I'm a little bit lighter now than I was a few years ago when I was solely sort of bodybuilding, but I've got stronger and had, I've had DEXA scans, for example, where I've got the stats to prove it, that my body is primarily muscle as opposed to body fat. And I firmly put that down to my consistency with real food. So I think the importance of real food and avoiding, as best you possibly can, added sugar food and certainly drinks is, well, a combination of those two, them combined are the most important things to focus on, especially if you're eating more calories than you were when you were trying to get lean or at least maintain your body weight. The 4th tip ties in what I've just said. The 4th tip when trying to build strength and muscle and minimize body fat is you've got to eat just above calorie maintenance. Now, there could be copious arguments from coaches on how much you should increase how much you should increase your calories when you're trying to add strength and build muscle. But I think rather than trying to stress about trying to be exact with how many calories you should be eating to put on muscle and strength, is focusing on the actual end KPIs of what you're trying to do, which is basically evaluate on a week to week basis. Are you getting stronger? Every couple of weeks, do you feel like you're adding muscle? Of course, you can get these things tested with like DEXA scans, in body, all this stuff. But generally speaking, you're going to know if you're getting stronger every week or two. You're going to know if you're adding muscle every week or two, and you're going to be aware, or at least you should be aware of how you feel and how you look and how you feel about your look. So I personally focus on like the outcome of, am I getting stronger? Do I genuinely feel like I'm adding muscle? And if I'm not adding muscle or getting stronger and my sleep's on point and all the other core drivers are on point, okay, then I know I'm not likely to be eating enough. So irrelevant how you manage your food, like, 'cause I know many people listen to this, some people track calories, some people follow diet plans, some people focus on habits and guidelines, some people outsource, or if you're like my clients, you might be doing a mixture of two or three of these things. Then rather than trying to stress about the exact calories you should be eating, right, because I just don't think that's sustainable long term for most people, just focus on, are you actually putting on body weight? Are you getting stronger? Are you adding muscle? And how do you actually look? And if you feel like you are, um, putting on too much body fat too quickly, then you've probably increased your food a little bit too quickly. If you feel like after a 2 to 4 week period, you're not getting stronger, you're not adding muscle, then you're not eating enough, or you're training too much for your calorie demands. Because I know one of the sort of generic blueprints when you're trying to add muscle, add strength from a lot of coaches, and I have said this myself in the past as of our coaching team, that you maybe increase your calories anywhere from 2 to 500 calories a day. That can be like a bit of a universal rule to sort of guarantee you're going to creep up in weight. Problem: if people don't have a predictable lifestyle of how much they're walking each week, or they have different weeks where they're traveling more, sitting down more, and their general movement is being affected, then someone could be increasing their calories by 2, 3, 4, 500 calories a day and thinking, well, I'm increasing my calories from what I was previously doing, but I'm not putting on weight. But that given week or period of time, you could have increased your output. So it's just simply, all that's done is just shifted the bar up with like your energy in your energy out demands versus your energy in requirements. Because whether you are someone who eats 2,000 calories a day or someone who eats 4,000 calories a day, ultimately, if your energy expenditure is matching that input, whether it's 2 or 4,000 a day, then you're not going to be putting on weight, and you're not likely to be getting significantly stronger. So everyone really is different, and that's where there's so much generic bullshit out there about what you should be doing with your food, how many calories it requires to get bigger, how many calories you require to get leaner. But you should just be evaluating every single week. How do I look? How do I feel? What is my body weight, my average body weight saying? And is it in line with the expectation that I want? And if not, just reverse engineer it. Look at your food the previous week or two, and ask yourself, do I need to eat more? Do I need to eat less? Or do I need to eat the same? Then the last couple here, you got a couple around mindset, and then the key one around training. The one thing I think is really important to accept, if your goal is to build strength, add some muscle, and stay lean, you are likely to put on body fat. Unless you genuinely track every calorie, never eat out socially, and you're probably the most disciplined bodybuilder on the planet, it's very, very, very hard to get significantly stronger, add a lot of muscle, and stay like stay ripped, to put it very bluntly, but you can stay very, very, very lean. Like if I'm ever trying to push for optimal strength focus and maybe trying to push the needle a little bit, be a little bit following my muscles, I know with that, I'm probably going to be a little bit softer with my condition. And that's okay. But I think one of the things that disheartens people who aren't coaches or athletes, and maybe this is where they've been fed in by some marketing bullshit of a coach who's saying you can get bigger and stronger and ripped very, very quickly. The only time that's likely to happen is if someone is totally untrained and just new to training, or there may be a freak with genetics, which is like 1 in a million. But just accept that if you are trying to be strong, really strong, add muscle and optimize performance, there will be some body fat that comes with that. You can't be your leanest possible, most shredded, and optimize performance. It just doesn't work. You can be very close to that, but this brings me on to my next point. You have to manage your expectations, I feel, when you are trying to have that all-round game. And you need patience. And that is my 6th point, really, is patience. You need to accept, if you are someone who really wants to tick all the boxes, be strong, muscly, fit, as well as lean, it's going to take longer. And unfortunately, that's not what people want to hear. But I'm telling you the truth. You're listening to someone who wants to tick all those boxes. I want to be strong. I want to be fit. I want to be mobile. I want to have muscles. I want to look and feel good around a pool. I just want to have that all-round game. And it takes patience. You have to accept it's a never-ending journey, so to speak, because when you're in solely a fat loss phase, you've got one key target, which is not really one key target, but you're trying to get as lean as you possibly can, and you've got one key focus to focus on, which is how lean can I possibly get. Then on the flip side, if your goal is to just get as strong as possibly can and not care too much about body fat, then you've just got one goal every week, every month, and that is how strong can I get, how much food can I eat, and how heavy can I lift. But if you want to tick all the boxes and do it strategically and just creep up in body weight, creep up in strength, creep up in muscle, right, and stay as lean as possible, it will take longer. Unfortunately, especially when it comes to getting stronger on things like compounds, the longer you've been training, the margins month to month, they're minimal. You ask anyone who's worth their salt, who's been training a long time, especially on your big movements, your squat, your deadlifts, your pushes, your pulls, 1 to 5% increase per month on a major compound is a massive win. Especially if you're someone, say you were squatting 100 kilograms and you were 5% stronger, you put 2.5 to 5 kg max on your squat over a 4-week period. That's good going, especially when you've got business and life to think about and you're not an athlete. Okay, but think about that 1 to 5% progress each month. How would that look like at the end of a year? So it might not look too exciting on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, but imagine where you'd be across a calendar year. And this is the mentality we try and preach inside Built to Last. You want to be on it and consistent and progressing across all seasons, not just in fits and spurts. Okay, it's very disempowering when that happens. So have patience, manage your expectations, because when you manage your expectations, you'll be happier with the process. And we all know the happier we are with the process, the happier we are with our process, the more pleasure we attach to that journey in pursuit of our goals, whatever the goals are, whether it's to be strong, be muscly, be fit, or do all of them. Now, the most important fundamental is getting stronger. You could be eating the best diet in the world, getting your steps in, getting your sleep in. But if our goal is to be an all-round machine, be strong, muscly, and lean, and that didn't intend to rhyme, by the way, you have to get stronger. you have to get stronger, right? It absolutely baffles me that there'll be people who'll be looking for, what is the best diet? How much should I eat? How much protein? All that stuff. Yes, that's important, absolutely. But if we're not getting stronger, and to get strong, we need to train with true intent, nothing's going to change. If our goal is to be as lean as we possibly can, we need to maximize intent, we need to get stronger, and really make sure that every single session we are giving it our all. Of course, you'll have periods maybe we've got niggles and injuries you have to back off. I have those weeks too. But generally speaking, on a month-to-month basis, if our goal is to be strong with muscles, lower body fat, then we have to be getting stronger. And the number we share with our clientele, especially on compound movements on a month-to-month basis, if someone is trying to get stronger, is 1 to 5%. As I've said before, it doesn't sound pretty, but if someone is getting 1 to 5% stronger each week, each month, then they're going to be in an unbelievable position as the months progress. But you have to get stronger. And not only do you need to get stronger, and this is something that I believe is left on the table sometimes, you have to get stronger with volume. So what I mean by that is, I think there's a lot of people in the gym who really focus on getting strong on their lower rep training sessions. So anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6 reps, straight set stuff, they're trying to get stronger. But one of the things that is really going to give you a fantastic all-round physique and certainly stay lean in that process is lifting more weight on your higher rep workouts. So say your workouts where you're lifting anywhere from 8 to 10 upwards, even 15, 20 reppers, it's how much stronger can you get on the higher rep range workouts. Like for me, one of the benefits of doing a hardcore strength session is it improves your strength, not just in that session, but it carries over into the higher volume work. So if you were lifting a certain weight on a 10 or 12 or a 15 rep a few months ago, you shouldn't be lifting the same weight on a 10 or 12, 15 rep set a few months later, because those are the sets, don't forget, the set volumes and the duration of a set, where typically you're going to be lifting around 30, 40 seconds upwards. Those are the sets that build the muscle. Remember, your strength work is over in 10, 15, 20 seconds tops. That builds the strength, but it's not the holy grail, when it comes to building muscle. We need to handle more weight under tension. And I generally think a rule of thumb is good, for a muscle building set, you're talking 30 to 40 seconds upwards. I love doing sets, as do we program for our clientele, where a client will be lifting a weight for the best part of a minute, then going into a superset where they're doing the same with tension, with volume. You get really strong, handling more load with that volume, paired with great nutrition, good sleep, and trying to minimize stress. You will look absolutely incredible. So that's the last point. Just to recap, food. Make sure you eat enough protein. Focus on high quality real food, 90% upwards. Minimize added sugar, especially if you don't want to have, body fat around your stomach. Eat enough food, and that's going to be individual dependent on whether or not you're putting on weight, holding weight, or dropping weight, and more simply put, whether or not you're improving on a week-to-week basis with your performance and getting stronger. Then from a mindset, just accept you will put body fat on if your goal is to add muscle and add strength. But the goal is, how can we minimize that as best we possibly can? And then patience. Accept that if we're trying to have the all-round game, that isn't built overnight. So if anyone is promising you that you're going to make insane strength progress, unbelievable muscle progress, and get leaner in a 4, 8, 12-week period, they're full of shit. I mean, you can make amazing progress, as many of our clients have, but the longer you've been training, it does take longer to do that, in my opinion, and then get stronger. So thank you so much for listening, as always, and I'll see you next time.